of the most contentious and hotly debated topics when it comes to SEO, digital marketing, search engine optimization, getting your website ranked highly in Google, or whatever it is that you really want to call it, is link building. Link building. You see, back in the old days of digital marketing, when Google first invented its PageRank algorithm, which essentially meant that the more high quality websites you had linking to you, that the better your page ranking would be, and the higher you would rank on Google for particular search phrases that were related to your website, meant that people in the digital marketing industry quickly discovered that if you had loads of links linking to you, then you're going to rank very high. So the obvious thing to do is to build loads of links linking to your website. And they went out and did just that, and they got loads and loads of links from websites that weren't necessarily of a very high quality and were generated pretty much exclusively to link to other websites. Link farms, dodgy websites that were just there to link to people. And they did that in our industry. They did that to increase the rankings of their websites and their clients' websites. And it worked, quite frankly. It worked. It worked very, very well, which meant doing SEO, as a search engine optimization, as a digital marketer on a website back in the early to mid-2000s was relatively easy. It was relatively easy because you knew with pretty much certainty that what you were going to do was going to work, and the effects that you were going to have were going to be pretty immediate. The long and the short of it was, though, that Google, the almighty Google, who shall always be obeyed, and we shall never do anything to infuriate the almighty Google, has always said that paying to manipulate its rankings in with a link, so paying for a link for the purposes of increasing your website's rankings, is against its terms of service. It's always said that. And just for clarity's sake, in the notes below this podcast episode, if you're watching on YouTube, in the description below the video, we'll paste a link to that so that you can see Google's official stance on this. That if you pay for a link, you are in breach of its terms of service, and therefore you could be liable for a Google slap. Now, I don't mean a Will Smith slap. A Google slap. A Google slap has more impact than a Will Smith slap, and it certainly has more consequences than a Will Smith slap. You see, a Google slap can get your rankings heavily filtered, heavily penalized, and you could, in fact, end up with no rankings at all if you were to really go for it and do these links in a really extremely dodgy way, which a lot of digital marketing agencies around the mid to late 2000s and the early 2010s found happened to them. Now, this has always been the case. It's always been the case. Yet, there have been a load of companies over the years that have cropped up that essentially do their business renting links for digital marketing agencies and website owners so that they can artificially manipulate the rankings of their websites. So you would go to them, you would pay them, and you would get a link on their websites or the websites that they owned and would be linking to you, and that would get you higher in the rankings. And these websites have always existed. But when the big purge happened, when Google did all of this sort of discovery of these dodgy websites, and it all was sort of automated and everything kind of happened overnight, which was around about 2012, Loads of websites that were doing this dodgy thing all lost their rankings overnight. They all went bang, poof, they're just gone. Rankings disappeared, and there were a lot of digital marketing agencies that went out of business. Now, you'd think that these websites that were selling these links would have lost their whole business, their whole game. Their whole business model has gone because you can now no longer rely on digital marketing agencies buying links from you to artificially increase the rankings of their clients' websites, because the whole process has been discovered by Google. It doesn't work anymore. When in fact what actually happened was these companies would flip it round and go, right, well, you've got loads of dodgy links on our websites. You want us to remove those, otherwise your clients are never going to recover within Google, so what you're going to have to do is pay us to take them off. And you've got to really hand it to them. You have got to hand it to them that is genius level business. You know, you're making a whole business based on selling links. Suddenly that becomes a no-go. So you flip it round and your whole business goes on charging people to remove the links that you've got in the first instance. And fair play. I mean, I have never done that. I have never got involved in the whole link buying thing because I have always gone by what Google says you should do. But fair play to them. They were charging people to actually rent links in the first place, and then they were charging them to remove them. So you got to take your hat off into them. That's a fantastic way of doing business and taking advantage of people who basically just wanted to cheat in the first instance. And I'm going to stress that. It's people who want to cheat. It is people who want to cheat. If you are paying for links on your website, if your digital marketing agency, if you're listening to this now and you are a business owner and your digital marketing agency, your SEO company, your SEO freelancer, whatever it is that you want to call them or whatever it is that they call themselves, if they are paying for links for you, then they are cheating. They are cheating. It is manipulating Google's rankings, and you will get caught. You will get caught, and you deserve what's coming to you, quite frankly, because you shouldn't be doing that. If your website is good enough, if your content is good enough, if it has the information, the tools, the reasoning, the content that people want to actually see for your industry, for your target audience, for your target client, then you should be able to build those links naturally and not have to pay for them. If you have to pay for it, it's not worth having. And if people are taking money from you to link to your website's not worth linking to, quite frankly. Yet what I have seen a lot lately, possibly over the last maybe year or so, is this whole industry seems to have gone full circle once again. I'm seeing a lot of Facebook ads, funnily enough, aimed at digital marketing agency owners or SEO agency owners, promising quicker results if you use their link farms, their link credits, their link sellers. And I don't really understand how this has become a thing again. Because they are so blatant with the fact that they are essentially renting links, which is against Google's terms and conditions. Still against Google's terms and conditions. It has been for literally ever, yet they are doing it. And clearly somebody's paying for it because they're spending a lot of money on these Facebook ads. There's this one company in particular, and I don't really want to mention the name because I don't want to give them the publicity, and I don't really want to start a flame war. Do I? I don't. No. I probably will slip it in accidentally. But so yeah. No. I won't mention the name. But there is a particular business based in the UK. Actually based in Scotland, and they have multiple Facebook ads, essentially talking about getting links for your website, getting links for your clients' websites, paying for links. How you can get a report on what links you need to have for your website in order for your website to get the rankings that it needs. And you pay money for this report, which is then exchanged, the money you pay for it is then exchanged for credits for their links. So it couldn't be clearer that you're paying for the links. You're paying for the report, the value you pay for the report then becomes credits. The credits are then exchanged for links. And then you can spend more money on the links because the report is obviously going to tell you that you need more links than the report actually cost to get the results that you want. And clearly people are doing it. A lot of the comments on these ads are similar to what my vein of thought would be, is that this is spam, this is black hat, this is unethical, this is against Google's terms of service. Why on earth are you advertising this as a service when clearly anybody that takes advantage of it is going to be taken advantage of? You know, their websites are going to suffer. They're eventually going to suffer. Yet it's still there, and their ads have been live a long time. Some of the comments on these ads, which are unmoderated, by the way, whoever's running these ads clearly isn't checking what people are putting on there, because I put one on there myself, for example, and that hasn't been removed. He's not checking what comments people are putting on these ads, how they're telling them that, look, you are literally advertising black hat, illegal, services that Google clearly does not allow, and he's not doing anything about it, and he's still running the ads. He's paying for the ads. He must be paying a lot of money because there's more than one ad. There's like 3 or 4 separate ads that are running, targeting people like me, and they've been running a long time. So who's paying for these? Who's actually spending money paying for links to their website when it's unethical and it's not going to work? I don't get it. I don't understand who's doing this. If you're one of the people listening to this now and you've used one of these services, one of these sites that, get you links effectively, and you pay for the links, stop it, because it is a short-term gain that is headed for long-term disaster. You're going to get found out. Google is going to find out, and it's going to bite you on the ass. So do not do it. Do not do it. But he's not the only one. He's not the only one. There's another company doing this as well, which has a video advert with there's a girl doing a video on that. It's a video advert with a girl on it, and the girl's explaining about how she's got links to give to a client's website. And one of the comments on it says something like, how old are you? You look like you're just out of school. I don't see what that's got to do with it. Yeah, she's young. So what? That's irrelevant. But there's other ones on it saying this is clearly black hat. But they've replied to these comments. They've replied and tried to argue these comments that no, it's not black hat at all. It's completely ethical. The links that they have, the links that you pay for are perfectly ethical. There's nothing wrong with them. They're high quality links, yada, yada, yada. Then everything's going to be okay. Yet I remind you that it's quite clearly against Google's terms of service to pay for a link on a website to manipulate the rankings in Google. That is black and white. If you pay for a link, you are breaking Google's terms of service, and you are jeopardizing the future of your website. The sad thing is, in the short term, it'll work. I'm going to hold my hands up now and say, yeah, you pay for links, it'll work. Of course it will. You get lots of really, lots of links pointing to your website. It's going to have an impact. It's going to increase your rankings. Yes. Assuming the websites are halfway decent, it's going to increase your rankings. But it's like cheating on your taxes. Yeah, it's going to save you some money. But eventually, you're going to get caught out, and it's going to cost you a lot more than you've saved. So I implore you, anybody listening to this, please do not use one of these link sellers or link renters to point links at your website. Do not do it, because it is going to bite you on the arse. So buying links, renting links for the purposes of increasing your rankings in search engines is like playing catch with a live hand grenade. Everybody's having a good time until the hand grenade goes off and blows off your hands. And that is exactly what is going to happen. So I'm going to end this rant here, because this is quite a short podcast, but it is an important one, and it is an important message. Because this just keeps getting asked. I keep getting asked this all the time by clients. I get asked this all the time when I'm speaking to peers. Whenever I'm speaking to anybody, actually, it's, oh yeah, these people have contacted me and said I can increase my rankings if I pay for these links. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. And I have to go through the whole thing all over again. So let's get this out there now. One final time. If you pay for links, you probably will increase your rankings in the short term, but you are jeopardizing the long-term future of your website. If you do not care that your domain name, your website, could be irreparably burnt and never rank again, then by all means, pay for links. If you care about the long-term future of your website, the long-term future of your domain, and you would like to see it in Google in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, then do not, under any circumstances, use one of these link sellers, because you are jeopardizing the future of your website. I've been Darren. You've been listening to the Engaging Marketeer podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you on the next podcast.